You know how that go though. I said, you know how that go though. Since I came in this truth, my people don't treat me the same. They love me at my worst, but now they hate what I became. I put my salvation before the money and the fame. Lost some partners on the way, but I just shot that to the game. You used to be my homie, now you act like you don't know me. You used to be my homie, now you act like you don't know me. People smile in your face, but they be wicked and they phony. Tell me who shall I fear? What the 1611 on me?
All the biblical Jews. The so-called black Americans make up the tribe of Judah. It's high time for you to wake up and keep the commandments of the Most High. Open up Colossians 3:17. After that, Jude 1. How long we've been acting like niggas in America? Niggas with attitude, niggas with gun, and niggas with stimulus check in 2020.
Gun. I am Madiam Wapanya Yarushalayim, stand and face Jerusalem. Amashiach Spalal, Matthew 6:9. Abanawa, Shabashamayam, Kadash, Haya, Shamka, Yahawa, Malakwatka, Taba'a, Ratazaka, Haya, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawa, Haya, Bashamayam, Tanlanawa, Come, Yawam, Wasalak now, Kabawak now, Kasalak now, Kabawak Yanawa, Wala'a, Tabaya Anawa, Banasaya 1, Abal, Hawashai now, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wahatapa Ara, La Iwalamyam, Ba'asham, Hamashiach, Yahweh, Tawara,
Amen. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 6 and verse 9. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. For if ye forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if ye forgive not men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. By Hashem Hamashiach Yahawashi, the water Yad. Amen.
Amen. Yashabiam, be seated. Shabbat Shalom Yasharala. I praise the Most High, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. To water the Most High for another Shabbat day. when Israel can come together in a holy convocation, as per the covenant that we made with our forefathers. Okay. Well, we were the land of Zion, located down here in South Florida, Broward County, 2937 West Broward Boulevard. I am Elder Bishop Lapalala, and to my left is
Officer Aliyah.
Khan. Tell the brothers to come inside. Let's start off with Colossians 3 verse 17.
This is the book of Colossians, chapter 3 and verse 17. And whatsoever ye do, in word or deed, do all by Hashem Mashiach Yahushai, giving thanks to the Most High and the Father by Him.
Right. Just a friendly or a stern reminder from the Most High about Hashem Mashiach Yahushai that whatever you do, whether it's in actions or your thoughts, make sure they're consistent with the teachings of the Mashiach Yahushai and the commandments of the Most High. Okay, because that's what we adhere to as Hebrew Israelites. That's our own duty as Hebrew Israelites, to keep the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments in all our locations and throughout our generations. Okay, last time we met, we were in the book of 1 Kings, finished up in chapter 18, which was the confrontation with Elijah, the prophet of the Most High, versus the false prophets of King Ahab, the king of the northern kingdom of Israel. And we all know the prophet of the Most High, led by Elijah, were victorious on all Israel, particularly the Israelites in the northern kingdom, Samaria, witnessed firsthand and acknowledged that the Most High was indeed the only power there was, and there was, and Balaam, the power that Ahab and Jezebel was served with those fake, were idols. Okay, so we're going to continue today in chapter 19, 1 Kings.
1 Kings chapter 19. And Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, and withal how he had slain all the prophets with the sword.
Right, because what happened was that in the confrontation where Elijah was victorious over the false prophets of Ahab, he commanded the Israelites to slay all those 400 prophets, I believe, of Ahab. Right, they slew them. I know Ahab, the king, was telling his wife Jezebel all that Elijah had done and how he had slain all the prophets with the sword. Which all those prophets were the prophets that were recruited or retained by Jezebel. Jezebel not being an Israelite woman, she was a woman of Tyre and Sidon somewhere, yeah. Of the coast of the west coast of Israel, just north of Israel, the nation north of Israel. Okay, because the Most High had warned our people, right, from way back. Give me that Deuteronomy 7. Because the Most High had warned our people. Even Solomon fell on, even Solomon, disobeyed the Most High in that regard. The Most High warned us not to what? Not to give our sons to the daughters of the heathens, and not to give our daughters to the sons of the heathens. Because they would do what? They would take us away from following the ways of the Most High and take us into worshiping their idols, which will bring about the demise and the destruction of Israel. Deuteronomy 7, read on.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them.
Start from one.
From 1?
Yeah.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7. When the Most High thy power shall bring thee into the land, whither thou goest to possess it, and hast cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou.
Right. Why were they greater and mightier than we were? Because what? were nations. When they were established nations, we were just we were in captivity in Egypt. We were not a nation then yet. So they're greater and mightier than we were, because they were established. And the Most High said, when the Most High displaced those nations and give us their land, in which case there will be a remnant of those nations left behind. We should not give our sons or our daughters to them. Read on.
Verse 2. And when Yahweh thy power shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his sons, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son.
Read on.
Verse 4. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Most High be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly.
Right, and that's exactly what happened with Ahab when he hooked up, so to speak, when he married Jezebel, the heathen woman. Understand? Jezebel took him away from following the ways of the Most High and had him for worshiping a Baal, an idol, the gods of the other nations. And that angered the Most High to the point that he had to stir up the spirit of Elijah to bring about the confrontation and or the challenge to the false prophets of Ahab. And when it was discovered that when Israel and even the other nations saw that the Most High was the only power there was, and Elijah had the victory over them, they were put to death. Let's go back to 1 Kings 19.
This is the book of 1 Kings chapter 19 and verse 2. Then Jezebel sent a messenger unto Elijah, saying, let the Most High
Read it again.
Then Jezebel sent a messenger unto Elijah, saying, so let the powers do to me, and more also, if I make not thy life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time.
So when Jezebel heard that Elijah had done, how he had slain these 400 prophets of hers, what did she do? She sent death threats to Elijah. So let the gods do to me and more also, if I make not thy life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. So she said, by tomorrow you'll be dead. You kill my prophets, you kill my false prophets, that's what we're saying. I'm going to kill you. You're going to join them. So that's what she was doing now. It's in the threats unto Elijah. Read on.
Verse 3. And when he saw that, he arose and went for his life, and came to Beersheba, which belongeth to Judah, and left his servant there. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness, and came and sat under a juniper tree. And he requested for himself that he might die, and said, it is enough now, O Yahweh, take away my life, for I am not better than my fathers. And as he lay and slept under a juniper tree, behold, an angel touched him, and said unto him, arise and eat.
Right, so when Elijah got those death threats from Jezebel, instinctively, just like anyone would, they would be concerned for their own safety. So he departed from Samaria and went to Beersheba, which belonged to Judah. That's done, I guess, in the southern kingdom. And then he further went into the wilderness. The southern kingdom was a different sovereignty. You know what I mean? You have the northern kingdom, which was run by, which Ahab and Jezebel were ruling over. Then you have the southern kingdom, which was ruled by Judah. Probably. I'm not sure. I could check it out, but yeah. And then he went further away into the wilderness because he wanted to be alone. He wanted to be alone where he could have communicated with the Most High without any interruption. So he said, first he was concerned for his own safety, but at the same time, you see what befell his own people, how they transgressed the Most High's commandments, how they were punished, and how they suffered, and they said, hey, I'm not any better than them. So they died. My brothers died too, just like them. So he requested the Most High to take his life. Read on.
Verse 6. And he looked, and behold, there was a cake baking on the coals, and a cruse of water at his head. And he did eat and drink, and laid him down again. And the angel of the Most High came again the second time, and touched him, and said, Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for thee. And he arose, and did eat and drink, and went in the strength of that meat 40 days and 40 nights unto Horeb, the mount of God.
Right, he wanted to die, but the Most High wasn't. Most High said it's not your turn to die yet. It's not the time to die yet. So the Most High fed him with baked cake and water. And the water, you know what? He said in verse 8, what it says, and he arose and did eat and drink, and went in the strength of that meat 40 days and 40 nights unto Horeb, the mount of the Most High. What does that mean? What does it mean? What is it saying right there in the verse? And he arose and did eat and drink. Read verse 7 again. You may pick up a clue in verse 7.
Verse 7. And the angel of Yahweh came again the second time, and touched him, and said, Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for thee.
Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for thee. He didn't know that the Most High was preparing him to go on a journey. He wasn't aware of it at that point in time. The Most High said, Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for thee. What does that mean? The Most High was going to send him on a journey, but he had to have some kind of food in a system to sustain him over the course of the journey. Read verse 8.
Verse 8. And he arose and did eat and drink, and went in the strength of that meat.
So he went in the strength of that meat, that meal, that cake and the water that he had. Read.
40 days and 40 nights unto Horeb, the mount of the Most High.
So what happened here?
Is this like when Moses went up to the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights?
So what is that saying?
Did that mean lasted 40 days, 40 nights?
What exactly is it saying? What happened? It lasted him 40 days and 40 nights. What does it mean?
He didn't need to eat. Never after he ate that meal.
So what did he do?
Fast.
You're right, exactly. So I'm trying to get.
Oh, okay, cool.
He fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, just like Moses did, like I said, Kyle said. He fasted 40 days and 40 nights. Was he at the meal? Yeah. He went in the journey. He fasted 40 days and 40 nights, and his journey are wild up in Mount Horeb. That's the only meal he had of for 40 days and 40 nights. So he's right. Just like Moses fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he also fasted 40 days and 40 nights. Read on.
Verse 9. And he came thither unto a cave, and lodged there. And behold, the word of Yahweh came to him. And he said unto him, What doest thou here, Elijah? And he said, I have been very jealous for Yahweh power of hosts. For the children of Israel have forsaken thy covenant, thrown down thine altars, and slain thy prophets with the sword. And I, even I only, am left, and they seek my life to take it away.
So the Most High approached him and confronted him again and said, What are you doing here? And he said, I'm very jealous for the Most High. Because what the children of Israel have forsaken their covenant, thrown down their altars and slain their prophets, and I'm the only one left. It's another prophet later on in the book comes from who said the same thing. The prophet Isaiah. I'm the only one left. And the Most High reminded them, yeah, you're not the only one. Read on.
Verse 11. And he said, go forth and stand upon the mount before Yahweh. And behold, Yahweh passed by, and a great and strong wind rent the mountains, and brake in pieces the rocks before Yahweh. And the Most High was not in the wind, and after the wind, an earthquake. But Yahweh was not in the earthquake.
Right. See, right there, there are two similarities we can see right there between Moses and Elijah. And I say, what are they? The first one is what? They both fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, right? What's the other one? Signs? Right, see, exactly. So, yeah. Get Exodus 33, verse 17. What, 32 and 12? Exodus? We get that, that's correct. So for right now, let's get Exodus 33, verse 17.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 33, and verse 17. And Yahweh said unto Moses, I will do this thing also that thou hast spoken, for thou hast found grace in my sight, and I know thy and I know thee by name.
Hold on. Start from verse. Start from verse 12.
12? I think
Yeah.
you got to go down.
Exodus 33, verse 12.
12?
Yeah.
Con. Exodus chapter 33 and verse 12. And Moses sat unto the Most High. See, thou seest unto me. Bring up this people, that thou hast not let me know, whom thou wilt send with me. Yet thou hast said, I know thee by name, and thou hast also found grace in my sight. Now therefore I pray thee, if thou have found grace in my sight, in thy sight, show me now thy way, that I may be known, that I may know thee, that I may find grace in thy sight, and consider that this nation is thy people.
Right. So Moses was a man in Moses that he commissioned Moses to bring the people of Israel out of Egypt, and people that Moses didn't even know. And Moses was saying, and Moses said, I know you. And Moses was saying, if I found grace in your sight now. Read on.
Show me now thy way, that I may know thee.
Show me your way that I may know you, right? If I found grace in your sight. Read on.
That I may find grace in thy sight, and consider that this nation is thy people. And he said, my presence shall go.
So Moses needed more reassurance that these people was the Most High's people. Read on.
And he said, my presence shall go with thee, and I will give thee rest. And he said unto him, if thy presence go not with me, carry us not up hence. For wherein shall it be known hence? Here, that I and thy people have found grace in thy sight. Is it not in thy that thou goest with us? Shall we be separated, and I thy people, from all the people that are upon the face of the earth?
Right. So Moses wanted to be known, especially amongst the heathens, that the Most High found grace in Israel's sight. Israel found grace in the Most High's sight, rather. Understand? So the Israelites can know that, hey, so the people can know that the Israelites are the Most High's people. You know?
And the Most High said unto Moses, I will do this thing also that thou hast spoken, For thou hast found grace in my sight, and I know thy by name.
I know thee
And
by
I
name.
know thee by name.
Right.
And he said, I beseech thee, show me thy glory.
Right. So Moses was asking, asking Moses, show me your glory. That Moses was already on a burning bush. I understand he had a face-to-face encounter with the Most High, or the angel of the Most High. But no, Moses wanted more, more affirmation of the Most High's glory, of His presence. And the Moses said what? Read it again. It's verse 18.
And he said, I beseech thee, show me thy glory.
Show me that glory. That's a big request. Read on.
And he said, I will make all my goodness pass before thee, and I will proclaim the name of Yahweh before thee, and will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and will show mercy on whom I will show mercy. And he said, thou canst not see my face, for there shall no man see me and live.
Read on.
Keep going.
Read it again. Read 20 again.
Verse 20.
Skip the word.
And he said, thou canst not see my face, for there shall no man see me and live.
Right. So Moses said, yeah, okay, I'm gonna grant you that favor. I'm gonna pass by you. I'm gonna declare my name before you. But you cannot see my face, because no man can see my face and live. All right. That's what the Most High told Moses. Read on.
And the Most High said, behold, there is in place by me, and thou shalt stand upon a rock, and it shall come to pass while my glory passeth by, that I will put thee in a cleft of the rock, and will cover thee with my hand while I pass by. And I will take away my hand, and thou shalt see my back parts, but my face shall not be seen.
So Moses said, yeah, I'm going to reveal myself to you. You're gonna see my glory, only you will not see my face. I'm gonna cover your eyes when I'm passing by, so you don't see my face. Because if you see my face, it's a death right there. But when I cover your face, and as soon as I pass by, I'll take with my hand, and you cannot see. That's not the proof right there. What do the heathens say? The Most High is a spirit, right? Mm-hmm. The Most High is a spirit. It's another scripture right here you can pull to show that what? The Most High has a physical presence. The Most High has a physical body. Mm-hmm. Understand? Oh, God is spirit. The Most High is a physical being. Understand? A physical being just like you and I are physical beings. And a physical being, there's another scripture you can pull also with our other scriptures to prove that what? Give me Daniel 7. The physical being and what? It's a body, and the body had a color.
7 and 9.
7 9? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a body. Most has a body, a physical body, and the body had a color. Because the Holy Rollers, the Christians, always talk about the Most as a spirit. The Most has a body, and the body has a color.
Right.
Understand? Okay. Give me read that.
Daniel chapter 7 and verse 9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit.
Who is the Ancient of Days? The Most High. Why is the Most High the Ancient of Days? Because he was there from the beginning of time. Before time was, the Most High existed. Before the concept of time existed, the Most High existed. Read on.
Whose garment was white as snow.
Whose garment was white as snow. A spirit wear a garment? You have to have a body to wear a garment. How silly can they be? Read on.
And the hair of his head like the pure wool.
He got a head, and the head is head at a texture of hair. The pure wool. So-called Negroes, we are the ones with that pure wool texture of hair. The Most High is what? A so-called black man. Read on.
His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire.
But his throne was like a fiery flame. What? He had a body, he had a throne that is sat on.
The rest of his body.
Understand? Here, just like the so-called Negroes in here, got woolly hair. Mean what? The most of the so-called black man. No one can tell us otherwise. Understand? Go back to first. Wait, where are we? Exodus.
No.
Go back to First Kings.
Kings.
Yeah, First Kings. Go ahead.
That scripture, what Paul was talking about, is Deuteronomy 34:10, where it says, there is no prophet since Moses.
Go ahead. Read that. Deuteronomy 34:10.
Deuteronomy 10.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 34 and verse 10. And there arose not a prophet since in Israel like unto Moses, whom the Most High knew face to face.
Right. So exactly. So at the time that scripture was written, Elijah, that was before Elijah. Understand? That was before Elijah. So even though Moses played a very prominent role, we could argue that Moses' role was more prominent than that of Elijah's. But we could see that there was similarities as far as the interaction with those prophets between Moses and Elijah. Understand? The Mosai interacted with them. They fasted 40 days and 40 nights. That fasting got the spirit in a certain, got the spirit right, so they can be receptive, so that they can connect with the Holy Spirit, with the Spirit of the Most High. Understand? That was the purpose of the fast. That's why it's good for us to fast, because, you know what I mean, to get rid of the fleshly feelings. Understand? Read it again. Read us.
Deuteronomy?
Yeah, 34:10. That's it.
Deuteronomy chapter 34 and verse 10.
Mhm.
And there arose not a prophet since in Israel like unto Moses, whom the Most High knew face to face.
Right. So there was no prophet since Moses up until the time that scripture was referencing, at an era of time. No prophet on the level of Moses that the Most High interacted with on that level. Get also Deuteronomy 15 and 18, or 18 and 15, the scripture.
18, 15.
Huh?
Since Moses, after Moses, Elijah would be and Elisha would be around the time, so he could with that thing to where.
What? Go ahead. Repeat the question.
So it mentioned he has not dealt so with any other prophet as he did with Moses, or since Moses.
Mm.
So let's say Elijah, Elisha, all different after Moses. Could it not be referring to that as well?
Are you saying that Elijah could be Moses?
No.
Oh.
Elijah is after Moses, so he could have dealt so with Moses, with
Elijah, just like he did with Moses, just to a certain extent. Because the prophets they play different roles. Understand? They play different roles, and because just like they also Paul had more like a direct communication with the Most High and the Mashiach also. That was later on. Generation that was while we were in Jerusalem, after during and after the Roman occupation of Jerusalem. And I could touch on that another time too. But get on Deuteronomy 18 and 15 right here.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 18 and verse 15. And the Most High, thy power, will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren, like unto me. Unto him ye shall hearken, according to all that thou desirest of the Most High thy power in Horeb, in the day of the assembly, saying,
Let me not hear again the voice of the Most High thy power, neither let me see this great fire any more, that I die not. And the Most High said unto me, they have well spoken that which they have spoken. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto thee, and will put my words in his mouth, and shall speak unto them all that I shall command him.
Right. So the Most High said he was going to raise up a prophet from amongst Israel, a prophet, like unto Moses, which you know that turned to be the Mashiach Yahushua. Understand? So we could say that, yeah, you could say that the fact that the prophet that the Most High was referring to was Yahushua. You could say that there was no prophet after Moses that was on his level. Understand? So even though the Most High used Elijah to play a major role, but his role was not of the magnitude of that of Moses. We go ahead.
And I was going to say too that Moses delivered Israel from that 400-year captivity.
Right.
We're in that same 400-year captivity. I wish I could deliver us from that captivity, like onto Moses. That's kind of weird. They're doing the same. They're having the same concept, but you get what I'm saying, right?
When you could say that, but not necessarily, because that 400 years as of captivity is already passed. Even though we're still in captivity, but not the hard bondage. You understand? So I wouldn't really say that. But the Most High, give me also Exodus 1:1. Give me also Exodus 1:1. No, this is referring to the Mashiach Yahushua.
The book of Exodus, chapter 1 and verse 1. Now these are the names of the children of Israel, which came into Egypt.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's Exodus. I mean Hebrew 1:1. Hebrew 1:1.
Okay, this is the book of Hebrews, chapter 1 and verse 1. God, who at sundry times and in diverse manners spake in times past unto the fathers.
So the Most High, in various times and different ways, spoke unto our fathers. Read on.
By the prophets.
By the prophets. That's what the Most High previously communicated with Israel. By the prophets. Read on.
Hath in these last days.
The Most High always had some kind of a middleman. Understand? He spoke to the prophets directly. And he spoke to some more directly than others. Like Moses, when he spoke to Moses, face to face. Read on.
Hath in these last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he hath appointed heir of all things.
Right. In these last days, the Most has spoken to us by his Son, whom he appointed heir of all things. So it's a Mashiach Yahushua now, through whom the Most High has communicated to Israel. That's who we got to go through now, to connect and communicate with the Most High. Even though we search for the ways of our fathers, which are the scriptures, but in order to connect with the Most High, we got to go to the Mashiach Yahushua. All right, let's go back to 1 Kings. Yeah. At first we in 1 Kings.
Like 12, I think.
Okay. Read 11 then.
Okay. The book of 1 Kings, chapter 18 and verse 11.
Chapter 19.
chapter 19 and verse 11. And he said, go forth and stand upon the mount before Yahweh. And behold, Yahweh passed by, and a great and strong wind rent the mountains, and break in pieces the rock before the Most High. But Yahweh was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake. But Yahweh was not in the earthquake.
See, all that, the wind and the earthquake preceded the Most High's appearance. All those are glories of the Most High. But are the actual, the physical being of the Most High. Understand? Read on.
And after the earthquake, a fire.
And a fire also that was not the Most High. Read on.
But the Most High was not in the fire. And after the fire, a still small voice.
Read on.
And it was so, when Elijah heard it, that he wrapped his face in his mantle.
Because Elijah know the scriptures. He knew the scriptures that what? You can't see the Most High's face either. That's why Elijah, when he heard the voice, notice that when he saw the fire, he didn't cover his face when he saw the fire. But when he heard the voice, he knew that's the Most High. And the Most High is about to come. Understand? So he wrapped his face in his mantle. Read on. Because he knew that just like Moses couldn't see the Most High's face and live, he knew that he could see the Most High's face and live also. But he wanted to feel the essence, the glory, the presence of the Most High. Understand? Who didn't want it? But because even the Israelites wanted that too. When they said, can we talk to the Most High too? Then when they heard that the mountain started shaking, and I'm saying, they started running. No, Moses, you go talk to the Most High.
Unless they kill us.
Yeah, let's kill us. Yeah, see, they didn't know what they were asking for. Read on now.
Verse 13. And it was so, when Elijah heard it, that he wrapped his face in his mantle, and went out, and stood in the entering of the cave. And behold, there came a voice unto him, and said, what doest thou here, Elijah?
Elijah, what are you doing here, Elijah? Why are you here? Read on.
And he said, I have been very jealous for Yahweh power of hosts, because the children of Israel have forsaken thy covenant, thrown down thine altars, and slain thy prophets with the sword. And I, even I only, am left, and they seek my life to take it away.
Elijah said, I'm very jealous for you, Yah. They have broken your covenant, broken down your altars, forsaken you, and I'm the only one left. They kill your prophets, and I'm the only one left. Read on.
Verse 15. And Yahweh said unto him, go return unto thy way to the wilderness of Damascus. And when thou comest...
Where is Damascus? What country is Damascus? Damascus is the capital of Syria, another nation. So the Most High was sending Elijah to Damascus. Read on.
And Yahweh said unto him, go return unto thy way to the wilderness of Damascus. And when thou comest, anoint Hazael to be king over Assyria.
So if the kings of the other nations knew that the Most High was indeed the only power. I understand? But yeah, he's the one right. And the Most High, when he chooses to reveal himself to other nations, let them know, yeah, I'm the one to put you on. Just like later on, so with Cyrus, same Cyrus of Syria also. Right.
Even with the voting, the Most High chooses who will be in power.
Exactly. No one is in power unless the Most High ordains him to be in power. But the Most High will have different processes played out. Understand? Whereby such ruler can be implemented and manifested. Understand? But it's the Most High who ordains it at any rate. And this was the same Damascus where the Mosai sent Jonah. Remember that? When they sent Jonah, where Jonah going? To Damascus? No, he was going to, what is that, Syria? I think it was, no, it wasn't. That was Nineveh. It was Nineveh. It was going to Nineveh, which is in Syria, not Damascus. Wrong. That was Assyria, not Syria. The two different nations. Syria and Assyria, two different nations. The Mosai sent Jonah to Nineveh, to Assyria. Right. Read on.
Right. Verse 16. And Jehu, the son of Nimshi, shalt thou anoint to be king over Israel. And Elisha, the son of Shaphat, of Abel Meholah, shalt thou anoint to be prophet in thy room. And it shall come to pass that him that escapeth of the sword of Hazael shall Jehu slay, and him that escapeth from the sword of Jehu shall Elijah slay. Yet I have left me 7,000 in Israel, all the knees which I have not bowed to Baal, and every mouth which have not kissed him.
Right. So the Mosai ordained. So the Mosai commanded Elijah to anoint. Who's in Syria? Is not Hazael, the king of Syria, and then Jehu to be son of Nimshi to be king over Israel, which was another king, which was the northern kingdom. So I guess he was going to be replacing Ahab.
Right.
Right. So the Mosai had purpose right there to remove Ahab out of the way and replace him with Jehu. I read on. And the Mosai told Elijah what? No, bro, you're not the only one. I got 7,000 prophets who have not bowed their knees to Baal. You're not the only one. I know it feels like you're the only one, but you're not. You got 7,000, and the 7,000 is really a completion. It's symbolic. It's not literally 7,000. It could be a whole lot more. Understand? The number 7 is like a symbolic of completion, but it's not literal. Read on.
Verse 19. So he departed thence and found Elisha, the son of Shaphat, who was plowing with 12 yoke of oxen before him. And he with the 12th, and Elijah passed by him and cast his mantle upon him. And he left the oxen and ran after Elijah and said, Let me, I pray thee, kiss my father and my mother, and then I will follow thee. And he said unto him, Go back again, for what have I done to thee? And he returned back for him, and took an yoke of oxen, and slew them, and boiled their flesh with the instruments of the oxen, and gave unto the people.
Right, so he was passing by a farm and he saw Elisha. Elijah saw Elisha, who was a farmer, and plowing the land. So he put his mind to take over when I'm no longer able to perform his duties. So Elijah wanted to go and say, I can't run off like that. I got to go, say goodbye to my parents. You know what I'm saying? But Elijah was like, you know what, man, this is very important. I mean, this is the Mosai's work we're talking. That's what Mashki later on. I know I'm jumping a generation later. This is how Mashki was talking. When he was a youngin, and they're going up to Jerusalem for the Passover, and his mom was looking for him. But I'm saying, I'm doing my father's work. What do I got to do with you? You know what I'm saying? The same thing. When they got the zeal for the Mosai, that's like the Mashki was saying. You know what I mean? When they called him to do this work, if you're not willing to go up to give up your previous life, or abandon a certain lifestyle, or even family members, or want to take you away from this truth, you're not worthy to follow the Most High, the Mashiach Yahushua. You're not worthy of that calling. So when the Most High calls you to do this work, be prepared to abandon certain things, to give up certain family members. I mean, who wanna take you into worldly matters, or the things that's so far from the ways of the Most High. You have to be prepared to abandon them. So in life, certain friends, you have to abandon them. You got to cut them off. What you got? You got a precept? What you got?
Matthew 19:29.
Get that out. Matthew 19:29. Let's see what that says. Basically, it's along the same line as not giving your sons or your daughters to the heathens. Understand? They'll take you from away from the Most High, and have you worshiping their idols. Our people can do the same thing, because if they're following the ways of the heathens, and you're under their influence constantly, they too also going to take you away from the Most High and have you following the ways of the heathens. That's why I don't read that. Matthew 19:20. Matthew what?
19:29.
Okay.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 19 and verse 29. And everyone that have forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive an hundredfold, and shall inherit everlasting life.
Read it again.
Matthew chapter 19 and verse 29. And everyone that have forsaken houses,
that's talking about your family, your lineage,
or brethren, or sisters,
your brethren, family members, sisters,
or father or mother,
your father, up in the Christian church,
or wife or children,
your wife or children, they want to have a force. Right there, so it's a wife and children. See, that's talking about even though the Most High said that He hates separation, but if your wife is coming to now after what they call spiritual fornication, it's okay. So it's if she committing spiritual fornication, the point that she's gonna influence you, or she's antagonizing you. To follow the ways of the heathens, then you can separate yourself from her. Understand that's one occasion where where it's spiritual fornications it's a transgression whereby you can separate yourself from your spouse. That's what it's saying right there. But, read again. Right precept right there.
Okay.
Continue right there. With wife and children.
Or wife or children, or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive an hundredfold, and shall inherit everlasting life.
Right. So when they put those to the back and put the emphasis on serving the ways of the Most High, and not be compromised by any of those, not be compromised by your parents, because. Okay, you know a lot of parents are to talk about. Even a lot of people said, even a lot of our Israelites said, this is the way I grew up. This is how I started. This is what I knew from way back. This is what I was always been a Christian. I was always been this, and I was always been that. But all that time you've been led on the wrong path. No, you know better. You have to abandon that. A lot of them are, this way I was brought up. Look, man, your parents lied to you, not deliberately. They told you something that they thought was right, but guess what? They also was lied to, because remember that us coming out of slavery, where we were taught by our slave masters, and we were alienated from our. Give me Jeremiah 17:4.
Okay.
Remember, we were alienated from our, you know what, cut off from our heritage. We were cut off from our heritage. We didn't know where we were.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17 and verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage.
That's what the Moses said. That's what the Moses said way back then. That was in what? In 600 or something BC. 600 years before the Mashiach Yahushua. That was just preceding the Babylonian captivity. Thou, even thyself, shall discontinue. You know what? Stop. From your heritage. Read it again.
Jeremiah 17 and verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage.
And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue, shall stop from your heritage. How do you stop from your heritage? Not know that you're a Hebrew Israelite. Thinking that you're Africans, thinking about your West Indians. When Hebrew Israelite words come into conversation, you think it's talking about somebody else instead of you. Understand? You think everybody can be the Israelites. That's why a lot of people are caught up into this John 3:16 thing. Trying to think that they are incorporated themselves into somebody else's nationality or heritage, not knowing that, hey, this is you. Well, wow, we were discontinued from that. We were cut off from that. And you can link it up with Psalm 83. You shall discontinue from your heritage. We don't need the Hebrew language. That's so far-fetched from us. That's why we go by all these fake names now. Bosnians, Asians, African Americans, all those. Get Psalm 83 real quick.
Psalm 83?
Yeah. Read until like verse 4 real quick.
Psalms chapter 83 and verse 4. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation.
Right, that's the prophecy fulfilling right there. Understand? They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. That's Israel going into exile. That's our nation as a sovereignty coming to an end. And us being about to be scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Not knowing our identity anymore. Not speaking our language anymore. But taking on the mannerism and customs and religions of the heathens where we were scattered. Read.
That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
That the name of Israel shall be no more in remembrance. So our people, that's why the first thing we do when we go out and teach our people, we ask them what's your nationality? Because it's hard for them to grasp what we're teaching unless they come to the realization that, you are the Hebrew Israelites. And this book is about you. This book, the history book, is about your heritage, your lineage, your ancestry. That's the first thing we try to instill in the spirit, in the mindset, so they can visualize all this and immerse themselves into this, and realize that all these people talking about, you come directly from that lineage. You weren't grafted in. You're not being grafted in. That's the bloodline, the family tree from which you come. We have a direct connection with the Most High, the Mashiach Yahushua, and these prophets. Understand? We're not trying to follow anybody's religion. We just got to come back to a heritage that we were discontinued from, and reconnect with the Most High. Get Zephaniah 2:1.
This is the book of Zephaniah, chapter 2 and verse 1. Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired.
Right. What the Most High, why is the Most High telling us to gather ourselves together? Because we were scattered. What? O nation not desired. O nation. We are a nation. Even though we just read in Psalm 83 that the nation shall be no more in remembrance. But the Most High said, once you know, you come to the realization that you are Hebrew Israelites, gather yourself together. Read on.
Before the decree bringeth forth.
Before the decree. What's a decree? The judgment. The consequences. Read on.
Before the day pass as the chaff. Before the fierce anger of Yahweh come upon you. And before the day of Yahweh's anger come upon you.
See that? Before the decree. So you know that's talking about Israel. So I don't understand how people think when I read this verse right there. I think that's talking about everybody. It's talking about a nation. Oh, nation not desired. It's talking about a particular nation of people. Not desired by who? We're not desired by the other nations. It's not that we're not desired by the Most High. God desires us. That's why it's telling us to gather ourselves together. That's why it's warning us of the consequences about to come if we do not come back to a heritage, to a nationality, and come back to obeying His laws, statutes, and commandments. Because He desires us, but as we can see all over the world, it's the nations. You can see what's going on in America, or the future of people. But what? That's the consequence of our disobedience to the Most High. Or disobeying the Most High and become like so-called minorities amongst the different nations. They outnumber us. So what? So they have the numbers to violate us. It's a punishment. So once we come back to the Most High and separate ourselves from them, then the Most High protection will be around us. Go ahead, where you got? That's all right. Go back to 1 Kings. Let's finish chapter 19.
First Kings chapter 19 and verse 21. And he returned back from him and took a yoke of oxen and slew them and boiled their flesh.
Read verse 20 and go down. Read verse 20.
Okay. Verse 20. And he left the oxen and ran after Elijah and said, Let me, I pray thee, kiss my father and my mother, and then I will follow thee. And he said unto him, Go back again, for what have I done to thee? And he returned back from him and took a yoke of oxen and slew them and boiled their flesh with the instruments of the oxen and gave unto the people, and they did eat. Then he arose and went after Elijah and ministered unto him.
Right, so he accepted the nomination to be Elijah's apprentice, so to speak. But he went back, kissed his father and mother, and then he slew all the oxen that they had. He slew them I made a quick feast. You know what I mean? I boiled them and stew them down. And fed the people. Said I'm not going to be a farmer anymore. I'm not going to be an animal farmer anymore. I'm going to be a servant of the Most High. So he did that. Then he went after Elijah and to do the work of the Most High. So that concludes chapter 19. And that concludes today's lessons. The brothers are going to get ready to go to camp for a couple of hours. And don't forget, the Most High willing, tomorrow at 12 noon, have the Hebrew class. Then after that, we're going to have the continuation of the Shabbat service. The Minister Shalamah. Mankind. We are at 2937 West Broad Boulevard, Theeloz, for logging on, the live stream, YouTube, and whatever medium are you connected to us. Basham Ashkawishai. Shalom Yashurala. We're gonna Amadin Wapanya, Yerushalayim stand and face Jerusalem. Psalms 133. Shayar, Hama'ar, Hana, Ma, Tawab, Wama, Na'ayam, Shabbat, Akyam, Gam, Yakar, Kashaman, Atawab, Ail, Ara'ash, Yarad, Ail, Azakwan, Na'aran, Shayarad, Ail, Kaya, Karawatyawa, Katal, Karamwan, Shayarad, Ail, Araria, Tazawan, Kaya, Sham, Tazawa, Yahawa, Abaraka, Kayawam, Aid, Awalam, Bahasham, Hamashiach, Yahawashai, the water, Aman.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 133. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirts of his garment, as the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion. For there Yahweh commanded the blessings, even